April 14, 1988. Somewhere in the Persian Gulf, a stretch of water that sits atop half the world's oil supply, the USS Samuel B strikes a mine. The hull tears open. 10 American sailors are nearly killed. What happened next was one of the largest naval battles the United States had fought since World War II. And almost nobody heard about it. It lasted less than 12 hours. It was fought in near-complete media blackout, and it sent a message to Tehran that echoes to this very day. To understand what happened on April 18, 1988, you have to understand the world the U.S. Navy was sailing into. It was the final years of the Iran-Iraq War, a brutal, grinding conflict that had already claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Both sides had turned the Persian Gulf into a shooting gallery. Iranian forces were laying mines across international shipping lanes and attacking oil tankers with gunboats and missiles. The United States, officially neutral, had quietly stepped in to protect Kuwaiti tankers by reflagging them as American vessels. It was called Operation Earnest Will, and it meant that U.S. warships were now sailing directly through Iranian. On April 14th, the frigate USS Samuel B was on patrol near Bahrain. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the ship from below. She had struck an Iranian-laid contact mine. The blast blew a 21-foot hole in her hull. 10 sailors were wounded. The ship nearly sank. Damage control teams worked for hours to keep her afloat. When divers later recovered the mine fragments, they found serial numbers. Those numbers matched mines seized from an Iranian vessel just months earlier. The evidence was unambiguous. Iran had done this. President Ronald Reagan convened the National Security Council. The debate was swift. A response was coming. But what kind? Some advisors pushed for strikes on Iranian mainland targets. Others urged caution. What emerged was a precisely calibrated operation. Destroy Iran's oil platforms in the Gulf, the very ones being used as staging grounds for Iranian gunboat attacks, and if Iranian forces engaged back. Hard, the operation was given a name: Praying Mantis, a predator that strikes with patience, precision, and overwhelming speed. April 18th, 1988, 0800 hours, the Persian Gulf. 3 U.S. surface action groups are already in position. They've been moving into place for days, without alerting the press, without a formal declaration. This is not a slow burn escalation. This is a surgical strike. Surface Action Group, Charlie approaches the Sasson oil platform, a large Iranian structure that had become a base for the Revolutionary Guard's naval forces. The platform bristles with weapons. The Americans know it. They're counting on it. A warning is broadcast on open radio. Iranian personnel on the platform have 20 minutes to evacuate. Most comply, but not all. At 0804, U.S. forces opened fire. What followed was a methodical, devastating barrage. Deck guns, SEAL teams rappelling onto the platform, explosives placed at structural weak points. By mid-morning, Sasson was on fire and sinking. Simultaneously, a second group was executing the same operation against the Siri platform, miles away. 2 Iranian oil platforms, destroyed in a matter of hours. It was the largest American naval surface battle since World War II, and it had only just begun. Tehran didn't sit still. Iranian gunboats swarmed into the Gulf. The frigate Sabalon, one of Iran's most capable warships, fired on USS reconnaissance aircraft. That was a mistake. American A-6 intruder jets dove out of the sky and put a laser-guided bomb directly into the Sabalon's engine room. She didn't sink, but she was left dead in the water, burning and helpless. Another Iranian frigate, the Sahand, made a similar choice. It was destroyed completely. But Iran had one more card to play. Revolutionary Guard speedboats, small, fast, and armed with RPGs and heavy machine guns, swarmed toward a non-combatant bark, the Willie Tide, that was supporting U.S. minesweeping operations. American helicopters arrived first. The speedboats scattered, but not before U.S. forces sank several of them and drove the rest off. By 1800 hours, it was over. In less than 12 hours, the U.S. Navy had destroyed 2 oil platforms, sunk or heavily damaged 3 Iranian surface vessels, sunk several gunboats, and suffered not a single combat fatality. So why didn't this become one of the defining military stories of the 1980s? Partly, it was timing. Just 2 months later, on July 13, the USS Vincennes, in the same waters, mistakenly shot down Iran Air Flight 655, killing 290 civilians. That tragedy swallowed the story of Praying Mantis whole. Partly, it was the media landscape. There were no embedded journalists, no real-time satellite feeds. The story emerged only in fragments, technical naval reports, dry Pentagon briefings, casualty statistics with no names attached. And partly, it was deliberate. The Reagan administration had no interest in amplifying the risks of what had just happened. The US had fought a near war with Iran and come out dominant. The goal was to de-escalate, not to crow, but the consequences were enormous. Some military historians argue that Praying Mantis effectively broke Iran's will to continue the tanker war. Weeks and months, Iran accepted a UN ceasefire with Iraq. A conflict it had been prosecuting for 8 brutal years. The operation also set a precedent that echoes through every US-Iran confrontation since. That American forces, when they respond decisively and without warning. Iran's military planners have never forgotten April 18, 1988. It shaped the doctrine of proportional deterrence in the Gulf. It influenced naval rules of engagement that are still classified today. And it demonstrated that a well-planned, limited military strike can achieve strategic goals without triggering a broader war. The men who fought in Operation Praying Mantis never got a ticker-tape parade. Most Americans still don't know their names or their story. But in the gray, oil-stained waters of the Persian Gulf, in the space of a single April day, history doesn't always announce itself with ceremony. Sometimes it arrives without warning, precise, overwhelming, and gone before most of the world even looks up, just like a praying mantis. If you found this story as gripping as I did, hit subscribe. Every week, we bring you the hidden turning points that shape the modern world. Drop a comment. What secret operation should we cover next?